Good morning, good morning to everybody. As I'm started early in the morning because it's nothing like it. So, good morning, first and for viewing and subscribing to my channel. I really do appreciate all of the love and support that you have been showing me over the past, guess it would be a few months now, right? Since I started all of this. Um, I know we're coming up to the end of the month, and as we get closer and closer, um, I will definitely stop saying this. But for right now, this whole month, I'm definitely going to be dedicating and celebrating the life of Shakira Whitaker. So, again, to her family and friends, my prayers and thoughts are with you. May she continue to rest in peace as we all continue to try to get stronger. All right, let's talk about this thing, y'all. My topic today is it's a real one, and this is for my relationship couples and my relationship people, my couples, partner, spouse, whatever you call it. This is for you. All right, all the signs are there. So why lie? All right. Uh, why? Why am I picking this topic, and why are we going to talk about that today? I believe a lot of people they deal with these type of issues in relationships um, with their spouse, and let me try to break it down for you the best way possible. If you are going through some things with your partner or your spouse, let's just say your companion, and you notice some change from their daily activity, the way that they are behaving, if you notice that their arguments are getting a little bit more intense, if you notice that they're uh, um, I guess you can even say, their habits around the house are switching up, attitudes towards you, um, everything. That's a sign that something is changing in your relationship. And these are the things that I think people sometimes, or the spouses, the person on the other side, they notice the change, but they don't acknowledge it, or they become naive to it. And if you're that naive person, you need to acknowledge it before it's too late. And I'm just being real with you. Um, Not acknowledging it and also becoming naive to it means that you accept it. You're okay with anything that they're doing. Um, you become so used to it because you don't want to uh, add any more problems to your relationship. Uh, you become used to it because you don't want your family to change. Um, you just don't want that person not to uh, leave you. Some of us, we really do come to that conclusion. Okay. And I'll take it back to my self worth videos when I say that you deserve the best that you can be for yourself. knowing that self-worth and that healing process. You cannot do that if you're being naive in your relationship. I'm just going to be straight up enough to tell you. There's no way that you'll even be able to start that process if you are being nonchalant about what's happening in the present. Okay? I don't like people that say, I don't like to argue. I don't like to argue either. But an argument shows me that you care about me. It shows me that I have your attention, you have mine. If we don't argue, then something's not right. Honestly. If we can't, and I like to call it a disagreement. We don't have to always argue, but it's a disagreement, especially if I'm voicing my opinion and you're voicing yours. That's a disagreement. It turns into an argument when you start to say mean things to the other person and they're saying mean things to you. When you start taking those shots at one another, that's when it turns into an argument. A disagreement is a disagreement, and you cannot be mad at someone else's opinion. Okay? You can defend it, but you can't be mad about it. That's their opinion. That's how they feel. That's just what it is. And people mistake that sometimes as, oh, you are belittling me. You're saying mean things about me. How can I be saying mean things about you if I'm voicing my opinion? That's just it. But in a relationship, people, you have to acknowledge that these signs are happening and they're going on. If you continue to try to just move past these certain situations and you're not rectifying them, you're not acknowledging them, and you're not trying to change, they're going to keep happening. It becomes a trickle effect where it's a cycle and the cycle continues. You may be able to get over it just a little bit, but it's going to come right back around again. And you'll say to yourself, oh man, how did this happen again? I thought we were on a better path, because you did not acknowledge it and you did not deal with it at that specific time that it was happening. You know, I always like to give examples and things like that. So, in a situation of mine, I seen all the signs. And did I ignore them? No, I didn't ignore them. I just did not act on them. The reason why I didn't act on it, because my person would have looked at it like, you're blaming me or you're accusing me. And I wasn't accusing, I just didn't even say anything at all. But the things that I did talk about, the important things, it still made it worse, because I was already feeling some type of way about the change that I seen. But I never acknowledged it. I just ignored it because I was comfortable in my situation. I was content with my situation. So it did not bother me as much as I thought it would once it all came out. And it was just a simple argument that turned into something big, where it was like, where did that come from? How did we get from me asking a simple question to this is the end result? The sign was there all along. And by me being naive to it and not acknowledging it, it only caused me to be on the outer end of the whole situation. Okay? Both parties have to be able to deal with what's going on. So when the signs are there, I believe that you have to address it so that no one has one up on no one. It has to be equal. But then this is where the truth comes in at. Because If I'm acknowledging that there's something wrong and you continue to lie to me about it, then that means you never cared about me. You don't care about my feelings, you don't care about my emotion, but you are the one who told me that you love me. You are the ones, and for my married people out there, they're the ones who told you that this is forever. You understand what I'm saying? So if you tell somebody that this is forever in those vows, but then you deviate from that situation when something happens, then my question is, when did you ever have time to love me? Did you ever love me? Because the love will allow you to think about what you're doing to that person. You ain't gotta be in love with them. And I'm telling y'all this to my people who are in a relationship, because this video is for you. Don't think that your mate has to stay in love with you. It's designed for the in love to be rekindled during the time of you being together. You don't have to be in love with your spouse, and your spouse don't have to be in love with you. That's a part of the relationship. It's there to happen so that you can fall back in love with each other. That's the most um, thrilling thing about the relationship than the relationship itself. Remember the things that you did to get that person to rekindle it all over again. It makes the relationship better. You get a chance to fall in love with that person all over again. That's a beautiful thing. I can honestly say that, when I was married the first time, that was a good benefit in my marriage. We can fall in and out of love with each other. Was probably one of the reasons why everything else that was going on in our life, we didn't even pay attention to it. So don't think you have to be in love with the person to make it work. You don't. You just have to love them enough. And if you love me enough, if I question you about the way that your persona has changed, your whole disposition, the way that you think, the way that you react, the way that you're talking, and things like that, something's changed about you. That means I love you enough to acknowledge it. Now you need to love me enough to say, okay, this is what's going on with me. This is how it's making me feel. You just got to love the person enough. That's it. Even if you need that time apart, be honest. For my relationship people that are on the end of, I feel some type of way and I'm changing. If you're going to change, give that person a warning. If you've already done some things, tell that person what's going on. Don't have them in the dark, because they already see the signs. They see it for themselves. They're acknowledging that something is different between you two. The connection is off. And if that connection is off, then I want to be able to acknowledge it. See, for me, it was a cycle effect. Like, it happened to me several times. This has happened to me several times. I said to myself that I am not going to let it happen again. I'm sorry. I just can't. I'm getting too old. And this is for me. I don't know about you. I'm just being straight up. I'm getting older now where it's like, hey, I got to acknowledge that I'm worth more than this to keep going through the same thing over and over again. I'm not going to let it happen. So what did I do? I changed myself. I did not ask the other person to change anything about them. I had to change Kenton. Now within that change, I got called a lot of names, that I'm not going to repeat. I think I've said one through one of my videos, claiming that I'm holier than thou. No, I'm not. I'm just changing myself. I decided that I was not going to do anything that the other person decided to do. Instead of doing that, because I've done it before, I'm going to do something different. I'm just going to stay true to myself. I don't want to end up the way that I did before. So I changed myself. Self-worth. Get the self-healing. I tell you guys this all the time. I've said it in my other videos. Work on you and only you without any interference. Now you can't do that if you got other people around you or you're trying to, be spiteful and treat them the way that they're treating you. You're not going to be able to self-heal. It's not going to work for you. I'm telling you right now, you're going through the wrong process. Self-heal by yourself first. You got to understand you first. Okay? That's how that works. But when you start to see the changes and you start to see things happening that are not normal between the two of you, acknowledge it. That's the best thing to do. You have to open up your mouth and say something is not right here. It's off. I've heard people say, and even for me, because it's been said to me that we feel, I feel like a roommate. That's bad. That's a bad sign right there. If you feel like a roommate with the person that you claim to love and you married to or you're with, whatever, that's a bad sign. You need to fix that. Something's not right. That means that the only thing that you guys share is a home. Nothing's coming out of it. You don't spend time together whatsoever. For me, that threw me off because that wasn't true in my case. You can tell when someone is content with their situation and when someone is getting bored. They say it, they act upon it, they do weird things. That means they're just not interested in the things that you guys used to do. So do you throw it away? No, you don't throw it away. You go back to what you did to get that person. Because if you made it this far, it's something about you that person loves. It's something about you that made you stand out from everyone else. This ain't got nothing to do with y'all kids. Now, because remember, they were there before all of this started. This ain't got nothing to do with the kids, ain't got nothing to do with family members, friends, none of that. This is between you and that person because the only people that know are you and them. You got to go back to that. But it will only work if the other person is being honest. Now, if I come to you and I'm stating this to you, I need for you to be honest enough with me to say, you're right. I am feeling this way. This is what's going on. You can't warn somebody by not being honest with them. People can't read your mind. I heard the Avant song this morning. I can read your mind, baby. I know what you're thinking. Well, you're a bad mama jamma. That's how I look at that. I cannot read your mind. It's not going to happen. I need for you to tell me straight up what's affecting you and what's bothering you in order for both of us to make it right. One person cannot make it right. I'm going to be straight up and honest with you. Don't do that. That's putting pressure on one person. Stop telling your spouse to change. How about you change? You do it. They will see the change in you. But everything needs to be laid on the table. I've seen it. I know, I feel that this is going on. So now I need you to be honest with me. I need you to be straight up. I always say, keep it real. Real, recognize real. Be honest enough to tell me what's going on. Don't keep me in the dark. Do you know? And I'm so happy that I get a chance to talk to my brothers at the church about a lot of this stuff that we experience in various things in our life. But someone said to me yesterday that marriage, this is for my married people, marriage is different from any other relationship, okay? And when you make those vows and promises to that person, you are actually saying that this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Now, does it always pan out that way? No. But these are the vows that you're taking. So, uh, if it doesn't happen, or someone cheats or something like that, you know that you are mentally messing with that person's mind. That's time, money that's been invested, things that you can't get back. That person could snap in their mind. They can literally hurt somebody. Are you willing to gamble with that? And then somebody said to me, "Man, you're an amazing person. Like I commend you because, you know, instead of doing what other people probably would have done, you flipped it around." And yes, I did. Because I know my self-worth. I'm worth more than all of that. But this is what family and friends don't realize. That the family and friends, they give you the advice, the wrong advice, instead of the right things. They give you the wrong advice, but that's a marriage. That's a marriage. You ought to be thankful that that person did not hurt your loved one. You ought to be thankful that that person did not go out on the limb to do something wrong to that person. That's time that they cannot get back. So literally, they feel like my life has been taken away from me for however long they were together. Can't get that back. And especially for my married people, you have to think before you actually do. Sit down with one another and talk about this, because even if it's a bad thing, even if you went all the way, I don't know, as far as cheating or thinking about cheating, or um, you want to leave, you want to separate, whatever, sit down with your spouse and talk about it. That's the best way. And be honest. When you lie and the signs are there, it only makes it worse. That is your husband, that is your wife. You do not know what type of mental state it can put that person in. I, myself, Kenton, I'm just thankful that I decided to do something different. I am happy that I wanted to do the opposite of what I see out here and what people really go through and what they do. It takes a strong person, though. You know, I've heard people say crazy things to me, and crazy things about me. Oh, I heard him say something like this to my loved one or whatever. Let me tell you something. You better thank God that I am where I am, that your loved one did not get affected in the wrong way, because that's a marriage. That's it. A marriage is a marriage. There's some things that you can do when you're just in a relationship, or you just you know living with someone or something like that. But a marriage is on another scale. I try to tell people that. So be careful on how you treat your spouse, because you don't know what that person is thinking. And to have a nonchalant attitude about it, it can result into anything. You just can't have a nonchalant attitude about your spouse. You just can't. For my married couples, think about it. There's a lot that goes along with that, especially not only financially and time, but even if you have a family, you know, kids are involved. If you have assets, all of that. That needs to be talked about before you can say, I'm done. I said this in my earlier videos. Come up with a plan first. That's all. Sit down and talk about it. Talk about everything. And if you're not ready to talk about it, then go get some help for you. Not both of y'all together, because I'm telling you straight up, people say, oh, go get marriage counseling. Go get some help for yourself. The marriage counseling may work if both parties are able to do it together and they accept it together. I feel like it opens up things that should not be opened up because you have not even had that time to heal yet. So when those doors open back up, you don't know how to deal with it. That's why I thank God that I decided to do it for myself, because now I know, all right, I'm better now. I'm a stronger person. The things that affected me, the way that it used to, it don't affect me anymore. I can talk about it now without getting upset. I can talk about it now without getting mad or angry. It doesn't bother me as much as it used to. But there are certain people that they're not ready and they force this on themselves, so things happen. So get some help for you first before you can get some help for both of y'all and for your family. That's all I'm saying. Another thing is, um, like I said before, being honest with one another is the best thing in the world. Saying that you're sorry is not going to be enough. You got to sit down, you got to talk about it. You have to talk. That's all. Just talk. But when you talk, be honest. So, the signs, if they're there, to my couples out there, people who are in relationships, then you need to acknowledge it. Don't be nonchalant. Talk about it. Okay? Um, to what's going on to my viewers, I can't see everything because I don't have my glasses on, but to my viewers out there, hello. Um, and you know what? I'll answer these comments a little bit later, if that's okay with y'all, so that I can actually be able to see and read. But thank you for viewing. Um, what was I saying? Oh, yes, the signs. Acknowledge them, and also say something to your spouse about that if that's how you're feeling. Okay? To the person on the other end, when they come to you and they talk to you about them, then you need to open up and you need to be honest. That's it. Be honest. Be honest about it. Stop lying because it's there. Seriously, it's there. And it's not cool at all. People get hurt, and there's nothing that you or anyone can say or do about it but you and that person. No one knows that person like you do. Okay? That's just real. You know that person, and that person knows you. When you add other people into the equation, just make sure that they know everything. That's it. That's it. And when the time comes and you guys are able to really get it all out, you'll feel better. I tell people this all the time: find an outlet. I myself, my outlet was basically um, going back to church. That's what mine was. That's it. It was going back to church. It was giving myself to the ministry and helping out a little bit. That was my outlet. I gave into my youth ministry, you know, and because I did, it changed me a whole lot. Like, honestly, my youth is what got me through some really, really tough times. I love working along with these kids and working with them. Um, they keep me on my toes sometimes, but you know what? It's been great and it's been helping. Now, some other people may not take that road. They may not want to pray. They may not want to, do other things. But I'm gonna tell you like this, y'all. This is real. You have to find some type of outlet. That's why I say get your help first. It's the best thing. Get your help. Help for yourself is the best thing. Self healing. All right. Honesty is the best policy. And if you can't do that, like I always say, do this. No matter what happens, just www.com. All right. I love you guys. Hey, put those comments into my comments so that I can answer your questions. It's not that I was ignoring you guys. I kind of get thrown off with questions and things like that. I was kind of reading some of them, but I was not paying attention to a lot of them. And like I said, what I'm going to start doing is wearing my glasses so that I can read your comments accordingly. But put those in my comment section so that I can answer your questions and things like that. All right. I love you guys. Have a blessed day. Pray for me if you pray. If you don't, think about me. That's all I ask for. God bless and love.